So my computer was out of commission. And at first, I felt like I didn't exist. I really did. But then I got over that. And you know, I just lived without it for a while. Yeah, that was a trip. But we got it all fixed up, and it was actually something very minor. Beauty and goodness came from that because, as you can see, it, I don't know, motivated me to set this whole thing up. This whole, you know, this whole vlogging thing. Realistically, honestly, is the word I want to use. I would rather just feel like I'm having a conversation, you know? Because I feel like I flow more smoothly that way. There's something that is more authentic to me about actually being able to use my eyes and my voice and say what I want to say, or share what I want to share. I decided to put some art back there. So that is actually not that piece of art's home spot, but I put that back there for a little interest in the back as opposed to that blank white wall, or this interesting little picture of a lighthouse. You can actually still see it right there. It's right there. But a lot of interesting things happening. I just went ahead and asked for the hormone therapy. It's not a very black and white thing. I still don't consider myself male, and I also don't consider myself female. Gender is not this binary thing. It's not this dualistic thing. It's a scale, I think. There's all these points. There's all these different expressions. There's value in everything and everyone, and that is why I think categorizing is a problem. It's because it becomes too rigid. It always does. There's really no way to keep it from becoming very rigid, and then, you know, you're always going to have outliers when you start to categorize things, and especially you have to think of it with the billions of people that exist. Two categories of anything is going to be very limited. Think about it. You know, it's not that I don't identify as male or female. It's that I identify with everyone. You know, there are two polarities in nature to everything. You know, there's positive and negative, masculine and feminine, light and dark, so on and so forth, right? Human beings, like everything else in the universe, is a mixture of the two, is made up of a mixture of the two polarities. Some positive, some negative, some light, some dark, some male, some female, or some masculine, some feminine. What I don't identify with is the set of conditioned ideas that make up either of the two genders. The more appropriate one for me is definitely female, but that's because of the attributes that have been conditioned to indicate or be in line with that title. I'm an individual, but I'm also just like everyone else. And that is why I say I identify with everyone. At this point in human development, it's very unimportant because anyone can take on any role, and everyone is taking on all sorts of different roles. So I'm actually I feel very fortunate to have come along now at a time where it is pretty irrelevant. You know, there's not these issues of human proliferation um, that add pressure to something like gender dysphoria. I've always expressed my femininity pretty fully. Like I've always pretty, I've never really suppressed my femininity. So I don't even really know what I can point to as a change. I think it's important now that people understand my gender identity because that is important to me. It wouldn't be important if it wasn't so important to other people, but because um, gender roles and things have been so conditioned, it is definitely my charge to make sure that people understand where I fit in, you know, because that is how I'm going to be, have the experience that I want to have, you know? I mean, if people, you know, are assuming certain things about you based on conditioned gender ideas and ideals, for a person like me, you're really going to miss key things about life. I've been having this battle with facial hair because obviously, like, I want it gone. It's a thing. It's something like I've always hated it, right? And I remember being a teenager and it was happening, and I was freaking out, right? And I thought that I had kind of gotten over it, but you know what it was? Like, I was living under, I had on the surface, like, I was able to conduct myself and carry on, right? But I was living under this dysphoria behind it. I had it there, and it never felt right. It's weird. It's very interesting to look back on something and, like, think about how you were okay with something that really prevented you from fully expressing yourself. But that's what it was doing. It was tripping me out. So I had this horrible experience with depilatory cream. I did it the, according to the instructions on the package. And then I didn't get the level of hair removal that I wanted. So I left it on there for a longer time. And that longer time was too much. So it burned. And I had this really nasty, like, it was just, you know, and then it was in the shape of, you have to think, it was in the shape of a facial hair, like, pattern, because I was trying to debilize facial hair. So, what I'm saying is it was this permanent shadow. It was horrible because it was burned shadow. It was the craziest thing ever. But I got through it, and so yeah. I am winning at this point. My goal is to, when someone encounters me, to understand my gender identity from my appearance. With that being said, it's a little bit more feminine than this appearance. Even, I mean, I think I appear pretty feminine for a penis creature, but I think it needs to, yeah, it's definitely something that I want to take deeper, and something that I want to further express visually. So that's what it boils down to for me. Sure. I mean, just like anything else, that is a very, very individual, it's a very individual journey. And people feel all different ways about it. But that is my reality. You know, it's not that I have an affinity toward either gender. It's about the things that are sort of categorized into those two genders. You know, it's about um, parts of human expression or flavors of human expression that are categorized into those two gender categories. With the dysphoria, I was going to say the funny thing about it is it's interesting how you can be living under it and you won't realize. No, you'll have no idea. You know, that adage, hindsight is always 2020. There you go. I just want to talk a little bit more about dysphoria because it's interesting how it is so it's such a funny thing in the way that you know, you can know about it. You can hear all these tales of it, right? And you know, you think, okay, in my case, you could refer to that as gender dysphoria, right? But really, what is that? That is just uh, body dysphoria. It's just another form of body dysphoria. You feel dysphoric about the um, the gender that your body presents itself as, because on the inside you identify with a different sort of gender expression. Because it's funny that I didn't even realize that there were parts of my being that were not being fully expressed because of something that you would think of as being as simple as clothes, facial hair, um, you know, little things like that.